Welcome back to the Marianne Hickman Show. This episode is with a dear friend of mine, Shannon Fox. Now, I was featured on Shannon's Summit just recently. She puts on summits for speakers. So I'm going to say, if you want to get in touch with her, go ahead and head straight to the show notes and look up how to do that if you're looking at getting on more stages. But this conversation took an interesting turn. I thought in our conversation we were going to talk about her summits and what she learned, but my heart took me in another direction. It went from summit-based, entrepreneur-based, work, life, all of that to a very pure and in-depth heart-to-heart from one mom to another. So I got to tell you, if you're a career mom or you're a mom in business, I don't want you to miss what Shannon has to say. So check it out. Tell me about your summit, though. That's how we met. I think it was through PitchDB or where did we connect on Facebook? Was that what it was?
I think we connected on Facebook.
That was probably it. So this is the funny thing I have to tell you. I was speaking at a university recently, and one of the listeners, the participants, came up to me afterward, and they're like, "Oh, are you LinkedIn?" And I was like, "Yeah, here's my LinkedIn profile." And I have to confess, I have been terrible at LinkedIn. I poo-pooed on it for the longest time because I didn't know how powerful it was. Right now, I'm the idiot. And so I brushed up. I'm continually brushing up and catching things on my LinkedIn profile. And I said to him, "Are you on Facebook?" And this kid, I kid you not, he looked at me and the age gap between us just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, I may have said that I'm on MySpace for all the relevance.
I know. They're like, Facebook, that's for old people. I'm going, excuse me. I know.
I guess I'm old people now. Yeah. I don't know.
I guess we both are.
We're in good company.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, this wasn't your first summit, was it? Or was it your first summit?
No, this was my third summit.
Hey, what's up? Marianne Hickman here. Listen, I'm interrupting my own show because I want to give you something. Now, you guys all want to get on more stages. I've got a free resource for you of stages that are just clamoring for guests. They need guests on a daily, weekly, sometimes monthly basis. This is my podcast database. Now, what I'm going to do is have you go to mariannehickman.com/database. Once you put in your information there, I'm going to send this to you totally for free. Open up this database. You're going to click through it, find the next podcast that's relevant to your topic, hit the application button, show up on their podcast, get in front of their people, and share your content. Remember, mariannehickman.com/database. Let's get you unlocked.
Okay, your third summit. I want to just dive into this because you help people in such a beautiful way. You put speakers on stages when it's the right person on the right stage and so forth. And you've had experience with this. I've seen summits coming up so often recently. I think it's COVID's fault that we're all in the digital, and now that we're getting good at digital, it's kind of cool actually because we can do so much more. Right. But these summits are, well, tell everyone that's listening, I want them to understand what these summits are, why they're valuable if you're a speaker, and maybe why you should consider doing one.
So I love these virtual summits because I get to meet amazing people like you and as the host, but as a speaker, you get to have an influx of leads come in to your into your system, like if you're the host or even as a speaker, that you're not paying for. They're organic leads. It's other people are sharing their list, sharing it. And maybe you have something that they don't offer, because to me, I feel like the summit's like a 30,000 foot view so that everybody can, in the same vein, like I work with career women. And so having them, it's any parts of a career. And so we get to bring in people and they're like, wow, I would like to have this in my life. Like you speaking on stages, that would be amazing for me to do. And so they get to come in and it's free for them to sign up and listen to these amazing speaker talks. And as a speaker and or host, you're getting in these leads that are the right people for you to come into your whatever you're offering.
So yeah, I love how you targeted it, because what the summit does is really highlight. Elena Cardone said this. I've adopted it. I'm taking it from you, Elena. Sorry. But this collaboration over competition, when you can find people that serve the same audience in different ways, we need to be working together We need to be
Absolutely.
supporting each other. We need to be doing events where we feature each other and just collectively help the triple win. It helps you, it helps me, and it helps our people.
Right.
And I love that you did that. Your specific niche, we were talking about it before, is career moms. Or is it
Yes.
just career women, or is it
I
moms
I
too?
do I do career moms specifically with my program, but my summits are for career women. Just because
Mm-hmm.
again, it's that 30,000 view versus the 5,000 foot view of what I do. So yeah, so for me it is career moms, but because I'm a career mom, like that's just kind of where I am. It's not that I can't help other people. It's just
Of course.
that's just where I'm at in life right now. So
Well, I'm
yeah.
a big believer in everyone hates this term, and I'm with him, like niching down. We all hate that because we're like, I
Right.
don't want to lose people. But when we become known for what we're known for, the same thing happens that you just said. Well, I know you work with career moms, but you're really good at what you do. Do I have to be a mom to work with you, or can you work with me too? I would much rather have those people than be
Right.
screaming on the rooftops and nobody can hear me because they think I'm talking to everybody.
Right, because when you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one.
Exactly.
So,
I couldn't have said it better. So tell me what you do through these career moms. Is it like a holistic approach where you're helping them manage their family and their business? Is it just the business even though they're a mom?
so I take these women, and my goal is to help them get their dream job, a raise, promotion, whatever they're eyeing for their career, the next big thing that they want. And part of that is gaining confidence in who they are and why they act or do or make decisions in certain ways. And the other part is also realizing that you can have a career and be really good at it, but you can also be a really great mom and be present. And so when you know what you're doing and you're confident, you can set those proper boundaries that allow you to have the space for work and for family. So there is a little bit of career growth, obviously advancement in there, but also balancing out as a mom to make sure you're there for those plays, or, even for show and tell day or muffins with moms, like whatever it may be. I want you there because those are important moments as well.
So usually we birth businesses, not to overuse the mom metaphor, but that's what it is.
Yes.
We birth businesses out of a particular pain point with us. So
Yes.
I really I want to know Shannon's experience with being out of balance and out of harmony. When did it suck the worst for you?
I think for me, so I grew up in the business world. Like I started going to business meetings when I was 12. Like I knew I wanted to be a business owner. My father owned a business, and that was I just went to work with him, and that's just what I did. And so I knew business was in my blood, and that's what I wanted to do. But I think for me, I didn't realize that I got to a point where I was working all the time, and I just got so burnt out. I was working like 80, 90 hours in a week, not sleeping. My health started suffering. I was missing out on all of the events. And I went, is this really worth it? Is this really what I want to do with the rest of my life? No, I don't. I want to be there. And so I sat down and looked at my husband. I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I am going to stop. I'm going to start a business. I would like for your support. And he is so supportive of me. And he's my rock right there beside me and my biggest cheerleader. And so he's like, yes, we need to do this. And now, my kids are a little bit older. They're part of the business. All of my success is their success. We have a big calendar with events that come up, and they're cheering me on. Like before I got on here, they came and gave me a hug. Like, Mom, you've got this. We're gonna be there with you. So they
How
cheer me
cool
on.
is that?
Yeah, so it's become a family thing. So I get to do my work that I enjoy and love, but I also get to be mom, which is one of my greatest blessings. So I don't know if that
So you
answers
were
your
working-
question.
No, it helps me paint this picture. So you were working for somebody else at the
Yes.
80, 90 hours a week. You're
Corporate.
breaking your back. What were you doing there?
So I was a closing manager for a while and then I switched over and worked for a wealth management company.
But
And
it was
so-
still like, this is insane. 80, 90 hours a week. You're not sleeping. You're breaking your back for somebody else.
Right.
I feel like we as women, we decide what our rock bottom is. We decide when we've had enough.
Yes.
But I don't think that's common. I don't think it's commonly understood that we decide what the rock bottom is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there's of course circumstances and things that are outside of our control, but it really tests us. And I'm sure you know this as an entrepreneur, we still get pulled back and forth. And sometimes we still pull 80 to 90-hour weeks, but at
Right.
least the hours are by our design.
Right.
You know, like
Yes.
this rock bottom for a lot of people, it takes losing everything.
Yes. Yes, that's true. And I don't think it has to get to that. Like for me, my health really suffered. We ended up, because of it, part of it was I lost a baby, like I had a miscarriage. And that was really hard because like I said, my biggest blessing is to be a mom. And so I knew things had to change. And that was it. It was, okay, you're stressing, that's not good for your body. And so I had to do a complete detox, and that was me leaving my job. That was me just detoxing my body health wise as well. And just getting that back and realizing, you know what? It's not okay. Like, I own my own time. I get to choose how I'm spending my time. And I get to choose to set boundaries, and I've done a lot better job. There are times, I think there's seasons for all of us, especially as entrepreneurs, where we're like launching something and you do work way more hours, but I get up early. And then I still get to read with my son as soon as he wakes up, and I get to have breakfast with them. And then, they go to bed, or they go read, or they go do schoolwork, and I get to work at that time. So it's a balancing act, but I still get to be present with my family and choose that instead of feeling like I have to answer to someone else and do it on their schedule.
I had no idea that you'd gone through parental loss. I think that is the worst thing.
It is very
I
difficult.
want to reach through the camera and just give you a hug.
Yeah.
That is such a huge challenge, but what a wake-up call.
Mm-hmm. It was.
I wish I had woken up earlier, if I'm being honest. I remember having my first baby and then going back to work 6 weeks later.
6 weeks?
It felt so wrong.
Yes.
It felt so wrong to leave my baby at home. And I did that over and over and over again. 6 times I went back to work. And I wish I had learned this whatever lesson I needed to learn to stop working for someone else and get my own time back way sooner.
Right.
That should have been my wake-up call, but I was under this tunnel vision that that's the only way. I have to contribute. I have to provide for my family. And in order for me to provide for my family, I have to abandon them.
Right.
At least to go to work.
Right. And there's so much more to that. You don't have to do that. And I wish I think as women and moms especially, we feel that we have to be Superwoman and Wonder Woman, Superman, Superwoman, whatever it is, Wonder Woman. And we have to do all the things. And that's not real. We don't have to do all the things. We get to choose what we're doing. And I think the power comes back to us when we realize we get that choice. When we're empowered and we realize that we truly do hold the power to make the choices for us and for our family.
Yeah, I was at an event last week with a buddy of mine, and he gave this demo that has been living on repeat in my brain. And he basically said, he threw up on the screen and he said, I need an artist, someone that's good at drawing. And there was 70 people in the room, and just a couple raised their hand, and he didn't invite them up. He just waited for someone to take the stage, which again is revealing this first limit, right? We feel like we have to be invited instead of us taking our turn. So the lessons are pouring in. And then he said, draw a stick figure on the board, and they drew the stick figure. And then he gave him $10 and then had him sit down. And this whole lesson proceeded to come forth out of it. 1, take your turn. Don't wait for permission. Mm-hmm. 2, you decide whether or not you're a good artist or good whatever in your case, right? Because his qualifier was just good. And the only definition of good was that you believe you're good at it. Yes. And then the reward was there. And we had it was like a slap in the face for me. You know what it's like? We're coaches. We live and breathe and eat this stuff. We teach this stuff, for crying out loud. And here we are getting schooled all the time, and it's quite humbling. I don't know about you, but
Yes.
man, my ego gets rug pulled all the time. I got to figure a way to just eliminate my ego completely, and I don't love having, but
Yeah.
we think we've come so far, and then we learn these like, oh my gosh, what am I missing out on? Even as successful as I think myself to be, because I've self disqualified.
Right. And our mindset plays so much into that, like just playing small. And I think that's where having, a coach or a mentor, even for us, like you and me have them, because we do get caught. I mean, it's human nature to get caught up in that small talk. And then someone else can come out and see it and say, hey, you're playing small. Why are you playing so small? And you're like, I thought I was playing pretty big, but okay, take it up a notch. Great, let's do it.
Like when you say that, I can feel an elephant sitting on my chest. And I'm just like, how am I playing small? What am I doing? And these questions start to tumble through my mind, just like we do for our clients. There's this book that literally, this is what I got that day, that book, You Too. It's like 12 pages long. It's
Oh,
not
wow.
very long at all. But each chapter is a page long, and I am getting schooled by this book. I'm like, oh gosh, because we all have goals and we all have things we're working on. Your clients have goals. These women that you work with, all things have that they're working on. And in this book, it talks about these quantum leaps.
Oh, yes.
And I thought of you actually when I read that, because I think for women especially, and I'm sure you've seen this with your clients, that we are gifted in particular. And I'm not sexist or feminist by the traditional definition anyway. I'm understanding more of the power that men have and the power that women have and how symbiotic they are.
Mhm.
But for women especially, we are multipliers.
Mhm.
You give something to us, we're going to multiply it. If you give us sassy attitude, we know how to multiply that. If you give us a half of a human cell, we can make a full human out of it.
Right.
If you give us an apartment, we can make it a home. And this ability that we have to multiply, I think, is an exponential factor when it comes to being both a career woman and a mother. And we just are so unaware of our own capacity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's where I love to help these women see how they can truly, like their true given talent, strengths that they have that are already living inside of them. It's who they are, like their DNA. It's how they are, but they can use them in such powerful ways. And it's so fun to watch them as they learn more about who they are. And they're like, wow, I really am awesome. And it's so true. Like you just realize that there's more power to you when you learn more about yourself.
Well, you were telling me, was it yesterday we were jamming? My days are blurring together now that it's Thanksgiving break. I think it was yesterday we were jamming about these moments that you have with your students. And I'm going to get emotional just thinking about it. I don't even know the story yet. But when you face yourself, and not in a way that says I'm looking for blind spots, you're facing yourself in a way that says I'm looking at the goddess that is within me, that is the manifestation of everything that I'm working on. I want to hear about those stories when these clients of yours are just feeling the beautiful light punch to the chest where it opens up and they get emotional.
So it's the third part of my program that we do, and it's the confidence statement. And it's not a confidence statement of like, hey, I'm this. You're taking your strengths, your given strengths that are just who you are, and you're writing out this beautiful, to me, it's better than any affirmation I've ever had. And you're talking and you're saying this, and you just, when they are reading it, especially the first time, I love it. I do cry because they're reading it and you can just hear in their voice the passion, because this is all of who they are. And they're reading it and they're just getting excited. And at the end, they're like, wow, that's really awesome. That person's really cool. And I look at them, I'm like, that's you. That is all you. And so keeping it up where you can have it and read it in any time. Like I love to read mine every week. I have it. I'm redoing my office, but normally it's hanging up right here. So I keep looking right there, but I took it down for while we're redoing my office over the break. But it's just powerful. And it gives them the confidence. So one of my clients went into an interview and she had done this and they were like, you take too long making decisions. And she said, yes, I do. I have deliberative as my anchor strength. And that means I'm going to take a while to make decisions, but I am looking at all of the things in here. Like I'm looking at everything. And so when I make that decision, I know it's right for the person and for the company. And they were like, what? And then she was able to keep answering questions using her strengths, using those statements that are in her confidence statement that she has. And she walked out of there with an 8% raise. And she called me up. She's like, you will never believe what happened. I was so excited for her, but it was because she knew what she was doing. She knew who she was, and she was going into that review not scared, not worried. They came at her with all different questions, and she just answered with these beautiful sentences and statements that she had already grown to know and love about herself, and she could answer them confidently. And it's just so powerful to me. I love empowering women and moms especially to just take ownership of how amazing they are.
You know what we need to do, Shannon? We need to get that process together with Lindsay Girk. Do you know who she is on Instagram?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. She's so cute. I've been thinking about her, get your pink back thing from the whole flamingo thing she started. And we need to get a couple other just amazing people, and we need to put on a retreat and do a photo shoot after they go your process and see what the befores and afters look like. Can you imagine how cool that would be?
That would be awesome. Let's do it.
I have goosebumps. I need to get in touch with my friend Hope. We're like playing phone tag right now. I feel a women's retreat coming on, and I got to be honest. Maybe you've experienced this too. I hesitated for a long time, and even still do, when it comes to niching down, as we've said before, to the female exclusive community.
Right.
And I've hesitated doing that because with all of the fears of niching down, but I also don't want to be boxed in as a feminist. And I put it this way. I don't want to, speaking of pants, we'll use this analogy, right? I want pockets in my pants as a woman.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Equal pocket rights. I don't need to take a man's pockets away from him.
Right.
I just want pockets too.
I do too. I have a cell phone. I want to put it in my pocket.
More than just this much.
Yes.
Have you fought that battle? I mean, it's obviously moms and women that you work with, but how do you navigate the like not being exclusively feminist, to the bashing of men? You talk so highly of your husband. Do you struggle with that, or is that just my own personal limit that I'm making up?
I haven't really come up against that much, but I do feel that it's who I am and it's how I relate to people. I am a mom. I am a career person. I understand. And so I guess that I'm confident enough. I'm confident just to say, you know what? My husband is right next to me and he is there and he is an amazing person. I don't understand the male mind. I can understand it to some extent, but I'm not a guy. I'm not a man. We're made differently and we're wired differently. My husband is super sensitive though. And I'm not as sensitive, and people think that's strange, but that's who I am. But I understand the sensitivity because of him, but he's, men are more wild. I look at my kids. I have a daughter and a son, and my son will be outside all day long, every day. My daughter's going to be up in the bonus room doing her crafts and coloring. And, it's just, we're wired a little bit differently. So for me, I just say, I feel like for me, it's just who I am. And that's okay with me.
How do you do I really want to dive into this, I'll call it the manifesto design. You probably have a better word for it than I do. You say it's stronger than any affirmations that I've done. or that you've seen people do. And I've done a crap ton of them. And
Mhm.
I live and breathe by those things. Whenever anyone asks me if I'm in a meeting or a seminar, who do you think you are? It goes on replay because I've practiced it. I am so and so. This is my God given calling. I'm a daughter of God. I'm the beautiful wife to my extraordinary husband. And I have this manifesto that just goes on recitation, but I'm hearing you and I'm thinking there's an upgrade available.
Yes. So, well, it's a little different because you know, and mine is like a living document. So I feel like it can change, especially with the season. I use the Clifton Strength Finders a lot in my program. That's just the one that I have just really dove into. And so we're going through, and when you take the test, you get answers that are very specific to how you responded. And so I probably every few months go through it and see if there's a different word that stands out to me. And
Mm-hmm.
then I go back to my statement and I'm like, oh, that word needs to be changed out. Like so to me, it's a living and breathing document that can kind of change depending on different seasons. It's like this word is really standing out to me now. And this one, it's still good, and so I'll leave it. Like it just gets to pick and choose. And that's where I think it's powerful because there are times where it's like, I don't have to do this. I get to instead be this person. And then I do, like in the strengths, there's not like, I'm a God is not brought into it. I believe in that. And so I do like to bring it into mine. Whereas I have some clients and that they don't want to bring it into their statement. And that's why it gets to be personal for everybody. And so, but the first time I did mine, it didn't have God. It was literally just like following the script almost,
Yeah.
But now as I go, I live and breathe, it's just changes, but it's really, really powerful to me. I love it.
I like the phrase that you used of seasons. When you said that, it really made me think because like you, I've taken my document and I revised it and I revisited it and I updated it. I probably do that less often than I should. I know I have one for every year and a couple times a year I'll go through it, but you're making me think I should do that a lot more. It just especially when I think of the word seasons because it gives me permission to be where I'm at and to not only be okay with it, but celebrate it.
Right.
Like I'm in a growth season or I'm in a hibernation season or I'm in a lean season, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm in, a bulk season. And I think about health and fitness all the time because I did a bikini competition and oh my gosh, there was lean and bulk and
Right.
treadmill season. And it's just, holy crap. It was
Yep.
insane. But this is a really strong word that you're using, the seasons one, because as moms, we go through, especially with each child that we give ourselves to, these different seasons. And we are so multifaceted to where we are living multiple seasons at the same time. I've got 6 kids. I'm living in the season of my oldest moving out at the same time as my season of diapers and potty training.
Right.
Just
Those are
feels like the
two big
years
different seasons.
and everything in between. We're in
Right.
the season of building business. And one thing that you said when we were on the summit together changed how I did business with my family. And I have to say thank you for this because it flipped a switch in me. And I was talking to right after we got off the recording for our call.
Okay.
I went upstairs and we homeschool, so all the kids are around. It's my favorite things to do. And I said, how can we grow our business together? I took that phrase from you and I went upstairs and it started sparking these things. At first it was a little rusty. My daughter was like, well, I don't know. What do you need in your business? And what are all these things? I'm like, oh my gosh, we need everything. We always need everything.
Right.
And it allowed me to put the kids more into our business and then turn around and ask them, how can I support your business?
Right.
Do we need to go get a market booth for you? How can I, do you need a ride anywhere? Like it changed everything. And it took this business bubble and this family bubble. And while I spend time in both bubbles, it merged them into the
Yes.
same one. It was so beautiful.
I love that. I love that. Yay. Yeah, I definitely feel like for me, it's the same way. My kids are coming in here and they're working on web pages or, like the summit pages. They were designing them and then I would make tweaks. They're learning to do workflows. They're learning how to do a business at the ages of 10 and 11 or 12. She just turned 12. But and they are in business fairs. So again, they're getting paid and now, okay, yours is coming up next. Like, what can I do to support you so that you can have a success as well? And so I think it's just important that, like, as moms, we don't have to keep everything so separate. They can go together a lot. And I think that that's important because you're giving your kids skills and number one, but number two, you're showing that you want them to be a part of it and that makes them feel special. But then when you go back and ask them, how can I support you? You're giving them like, wow, she really believes in me. And it just gives them another step of confidence. And this day and age, I think all of our kids need more confidence. So
I'm blown away by what I'm seeing with as they say, kids these days, right? When I was 18, girl, I could not wait to move out of the house. I'd had my driver's license for 2 years, got it on my birthday. I was up and rearing and ready to go. And there is a wave of apathy that we're experiencing right now. There's a wave of entitlement. As they say, hard times make tough men make easy times make weak men make hard times, and around we go.
right.
And based on what I'm seeing, we have just exited this season of the baby boomers who worked their butts off down to the bone, went to war for us, made it easy times. And now these easy times are ending, at least having their end of their season. And we're having to pull up ourselves by our bootstraps and get good at stuff again. And we're in the overlap phase where I see a lot of kids who just don't care. They don't care to move out. They'll be entitled. They'll mooch off whoever they can.
Yep.
And then I see in greater quantities, but not as much as I judge to be enough, these kids that are saying, I want to do something. I want to be productive. I want to take my own business. And I've had to differentiate for myself, and I want your perspective on this as well, the difference between entrepreneurship, which I believe we need. I believe that is where the best success lies. That is how jobs are created for other people. So you've got in one box, the over here, the entrepreneur, the hustler. And then in this other box, we've got complacency. And maybe there's a third box for complacency, but this middle box that says, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. And it has been difficult for me to say, that's okay, as judgmental as that sounds. But the truth is we need people who want jobs, and we need people who align with visions, and we need people as entrepreneurs who help us row our boat. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I feel like I agree. There's those three boxes of, and I think that middle box of I don't want entrepreneurship, I think some of that comes back down to how they were raised, their parents believing like, hey, what you do is you go to school, you graduate, you go to college for 4 years, you get a degree, you go to the corporate world, and that's where you work. Like, that's just what you do until you retire, and then you retire. And I think that there's people that don't want to challenge that, and they just want to, that's where some of the complacency comes into for me, is like they just want to follow what they know. But then you've got other people that are like, hey, I want more. I want more than what I had, than what I know.
Ariel.
And yeah, and I want more. You don't want to sing. But then they're the ones that are going out, and they're the ones that are going to change the world. They're going to be the ones that start these amazing companies and or have. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like they may have been challenged differently as kids to do something, like you homeschool, I homeschool. Our kids didn't always homeschool, but they went to a charter school when we lived in Colorado, and to sit there and think of them just like, this is what you do. You sit here and you do that, you study. You're not supposed to ask any questions, blah, blah, blah. My son does math, and he does it as he's running down outside. Like, he will do his math problems and say them all. Whatever he has to be moving. He cannot be in the same seat all day long. And so, and I've learned that, and I'm so thankful for homeschool to be able to allow that. But before, he was like, his teacher was very rigid, and it was, you sit here, you cannot talk, you have to do this. And I think that leads on through school, and no one and that's just what you're taught. You're not taught to, it's scary to go out and start a new business. Yes, it is scary. But if you have anything is worth doing, you have to be scared at some point. Get out of your comfort zone. That's where you're going to really grow. And so, I don't know. I think that complacency is just, people don't want to ruffle feathers. But I also feel like there's people now too that are just, they're kind of lazy. I feel like after,
if you're listening to podcasts, by the way, you're not one of them. Just saying.
Exactly. But they just want, like you said, they want to just have things given to them, and entitlement of, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here and just play on my phone, work for, I think a lot of the last few years have made us where we have been remote. It's not been very good for the generation that's kind of graduated and trying to go out on their own, because I do feel like they've got it easy of just like, well, for the last 4 years, I was able to just sit in my jammies and be on my computer. And now you want me to go into an office and I have to actually talk to people and be respectful. And so I think we're in a change now that, we're over the pandemic and all of that. It's time to get back to connecting, and they don't know how to connect. And it's
scary.
It is scary.
Yeah. I was raising back when the whole shutdown started, my daughter was 14. And so, I mean, she was relieved when she got pulled out of school, and we weren't even homeschooling yet. It was remote schooling at that point.
Yes, we did that.
Yeah. So I remember driving down the road, and we do pizza movie night every Friday. And we were on our way home, my husband and I, from something. And we're like, we need you to order the pizza tonight because we're driving or whatever. And it was crippling. And Jalen, if you're listening to this, I know you might not like it, but you can validate my story. It was this crippling fear. And one of the best things that she ever did to overcome that, and she'll tell you the same thing, was to get a job. And to interface with people and talk to people at the customer counter every single hour of every single day. And that's the thing. Like I have struggled, honestly, in trying to set examples for my children that shows you can go for what you want. And I'm about to get really vulnerable here because it sounds super judgmental of me. I struggle when people that are close to me, that I know and love, that I know are capable, that I know have all the power within them, but their highest dream is something that I judge to be beneath their station.
Right.
And it hurts my heart. I co-parent with my kids with my ex-husband and his wife, and we have obviously different values. Otherwise, we're divorced for a reason, right? But it's tough to watch them make sense of it all.
Right.
It's tough to watch them, especially in my heart, when my 12-year-old boy says his highest ambition is a loft. And I'm just like, is that because it's what you want? Right. If so, great. Or is it because what you think you're allowed to have? If that's the case, I have a problem.
Right. Exactly. Yes, I agree with you. Like my daughter's kind of the same way. She'll sometimes say, well, I don't want to go to college. I'm just going to do something fun. And I'm like, okay, you still have to make money. Like, you can't just, and she's like, well, yeah, I'm not into school, so I don't want to do, and I'm like, okay, well, we have to do. She's like, I'll just have a business, and I'll make sure that the business is up and running before I turn 18, and then it'll be fine. And I'm going, okay, but what business? Which one are we going to take off? Like, are you going to do your craft supplies? Can we make sure that that's a little bit more, But it's hard, I think, because I'm the same way. I have friends and loved ones that I'm like, you have so much potential and I can see it. And I just wish that you could see what I see, have my belief in you. And it's hard. I've had to have some of those conversations and I've tried to have those conversations, but I feel like at the end, until they really, really want it, our hearts are just going to be sad.
I feel that.
I mean,
then I don't want to make them feel bad.
Right. Exactly. Especially
Like,
if it's your kid, you want them to know that you believe in them and that you want them, that you really do want them to be the best. And if that's really your goal, okay, I'll 100% support you, but but I want to know the why behind it. Is it just, the real why? Mm-hmm. So
there's a story that gets told by, it was a long time ago. Like my church has meetings twice a year with the whole worldwide church. And this story was told in one of those meetings that said there was a guy who saved up everything he had for a cruise ticket and like spent all his money, and he packed his own food and like cans of beans. He's eating them in his cabin and not going on any of the excursions because he just had enough of the ticket. And at the end of the cruise, he goes up to the captain and the captain's like, I've seen you here. You're not going anywhere. Why aren't you out and involved? And he's like, well, I didn't have the extra money for the excursions or the food. And the captain looks at him, and this phrase hits me all the time. And he said, everything was included in your ticket.
Oh.
You could have been eating with us. You could have been going on the excursions with us. Everything was included in your ticket. Like it was all inclusive and you just didn't know. And I check myself, probably not as often as I should, that says in my ticket of life, what is included that I thought wasn't available to me.
Yeah. Right.
And that's the way I look at my children. And I was like, I know not everything, but a lot of things that are included in your ticket here in this world and in your life. And I'm sure they feel judged. And I don't want that. I don't want them to feel judged. I want to be, and I am proud of my children, but I want them to know how proud of them I am. And I think this hits really hard for me because my daughter just moved out and I broke down in tears and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I taught her everything that I needed to. I was still growing up when she was a baby. She was born when I was 20. Wow. Did I do a good enough job? And I had this immense, overwhelming, momentary, but overwhelming feeling of guilt and fear of what if I didn't teach her everything I was supposed to? And now she's out. She's moved on. That was hard for me to stomach.
Yeah. I could, oh, wow, that hits me. I'm like getting a little choked up over here. But
right?
I think you have to do the best that you can do. And I don't think your kids would feel judged. I think if you ask them the questions in a way of just curiosity and challenging, that's not judging. Because I think, mom to mom, like your kids know that they're loved. They know you love them.
God, I hope so. Yeah.
I mean, ask my kids, you do know you're loved, right? Yep, I know. And or they'll say, Mom, you've told me I love you so many times today.
Music to my ears.
I'm going to tell you again because I want you to know. But I think it's okay. And I think that it's good to challenge them and ask them questions, curiosity questions, but challenging questions. It makes them think. And I think you can do that. And I don't think that comes across as judgmental. And I feel like, I tell my daughter's our oldest, and I have gone to her and I looked at her in the face and said, I just want to apologize. You're our first one. And Daddy and I are learning how to be parents. And as you're becoming a teenager, we've never had a teen before. And so we're learning what that means to be a teenager parent, and we're going to make mistakes, but so I'm sorry, like, I don't know what to tell you. I try and get advice from other people too, but
Like that movie Big Hero 6. Should I bought a book on parenting? Probably.
I know. I'm like, you did not come with a little manual when you were born. I can tell you that.
Oh, it would have been written, rewritten, burned up, torn up to pieces every year.
I'm like, oh, there's so much, and that sass that comes out with teenagers. Whew. That's a whole nother rabbit trail.
Oh my God, karma though. At least
Yes.
for me.
Yes. I have seen her and looked at her and been like, wow, you are a very mini version of your mother. Okay, this is how
I've
this
gone
can be
so far
fun.
as to call my mom and apologize.
That's awesome. I mean, she just stands on her hip like, and I'm going, I said, I was born, I'm older. I have the right to be like that. You don't. I told her that the other day. Oof, golly, don't be sassy to me.
Where do you think I learned it?
I know exactly what she said to me. Yeah, I went and had a 5-minute
True, but not
timeout in my
appropriate.
room.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. We do this. I see the same thing happen in my job too. And I don't want to ever seem like my team members are my kids, but
Right.
man, do we ever adopt the traits of those we spend the most time with? Ain't that the damn truth?
Yes. Yes. That's an important thing we're trying to tell our kids. Like the 5 people you surround yourself with the most, or who they rub off on you. And it's important that they have the same values that you do, and that what's important to you, your top things, is important to them as well.
Yeah, I came across, and we all know the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. And I've thought about that a lot, and especially in the recent world, I've seen a lot of Instagram videos of abject poverty around the world and the village that really does come together. And as I've thought about it, for me, the truth has graduated from it takes a village to your village will raise your child. So whatever village you have,
Yes.
you better like it because they're raising your children with you. The community that they're in, the school that you let them go to, which is why we homeschool, the friends that you have, the children of the friends that you have, the way you treat your neighbors, who like literally where you live geographically, they will
Church,
all
if you go to
contribute.
church.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's, for me, a lot of accountability that has to happen to say, I was part of the ingredient of this. I exposed my child to this for better or worse. And it hits really hard. That's been a huge gold nugget for me is your village will raise your child.
Yeah, that is true. I like that. That is.
So
yeah.
I wanted to this quiz that we talked about earlier, that is it a survey or a questionnaire that you have?
It's just like a 3-minute quiz, like a survey almost, that you can go through, and you get at the end, it's you find your mastery zone. And so your mastery zone it's not quite down to those strengths. It's the overall arching, but it's a more generalization of how you like to do things. It all starts with your mastery zone. And so this quiz helps you understand by just answering, I think there's like 10 or 12 questions. It helps you understand your mastery zone. So then you have that broad idea of why you do what you do.
So, and that's what you have for everyone that's listening to our conversation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to get that from you. It'll be in the show notes if you're listening, my friends. So I want to get a final piece of advice. If you were to die tomorrow, God forbid, knock on wood, not going to happen.
Yeah.
But what would be the last thing you would want to share with the planet if this was your last set of words?
That's hard. I think it would probably just be go out and be who God created you to be and love others.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's what I want my kids to do. Do what God asks you to do and love other people. Serve your community.
I love that, and you're doing it in such powerful ways. I had meant and intended to talk more about the summit and the logistics of it, but it paled in comparison to the content that you create and serve for people. So, listen, if you're listening and you want to be on more stages, this is the right place to be. I want you to get with Shannon, get with her. I don't know if you're doing another summit, right?
I'm doing 2 more next year and
Oh, hell yeah.
a giveaway, but it's not speaking. So yes, I have 2 more
Okay.
speaking
Well,
events next year.
I want y'all to get with Shannon. I want you to get in her world. I want you to take the survey because man, woman, or whatever, I think you should take this. You should benefit from it. I'm going to take it. I want you to see if Shannon is someone that you can align with. If you're looking on getting more stages, maybe you can collab for a summit or whatever it might be. Regardless, I would echo her words and say, do what you are meant to do. Show up and serve people and speak up. That's why we get on stages. Shannon, thank you so much. This was pure gold for me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this.
It's awesome. I love collaborating with beautiful people. Guys, I'm going to put all of Shannon's contact information, your Instagram, everything. We'll put it in the show notes, and then most of all that quiz, so you can go take that and understand who you are better, so you can show up better for the world. Shannon, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Friends, this is the end of this episode for the Marianne Hickman Show. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Go check out Shannon's things, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Hey, what's up? Marianne Hickman here. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We have some pretty amazing speakers on my podcast, and of course, more to come. If this is something that you enjoyed, guys, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. You guys know what to do. I love your comments, and I respond to every single one of them personally, not a bot or an agency. So if this is something you're enjoying, tell me about it. Tell me your gold nuggets. I want to hear from you. But here's the most important thing I want you to laser in on. I told you about the podcast database. You've probably seen me post about it all over social media. I want to make sure that you get it. So here's what I want you to do. Go to mariannehickman.com/database. Once you put all of your information in there, I'm going to send you the document. You request access to it. Boom, it's unlocked. Once you're in there, my rule of thumb is to apply to 10 podcasts a month. It's very digestible. It's very easy to do. And the database gets updated twice a week. So I want you constantly checking back in there for the next podcast that fits your audience. Thank you for being here. Much love to you, and we'll see you in the next episode.